So today we're going to continue talking about world building like we did yesterday. My shirt is driving me nuts. um, I talked a little bit about it yesterday, about the basics, in terms of what I did for Presage. Um, Today we're going to talk about another story that I've been working on, that I started writing about the same time that I wrote Presage, but I didn't write very much of it. It didn't even have a title. World building like an enclosure for Harambe. And it already starts with the Harambe. I love you guys. Sort of. Sort of like an enclosure for Harambe. The two worlds, Presage and Cormanthyr, are very different. Presage was one that I already kind of, like, I didn't do the world building first. I wrote the story first. Usually it's the reverse. And when I world build, I will draw the map first. I've shown the giant map of Cormanthyr a couple of times on stream. I don't have a smaller version of it that I can show you guys. And that was the first time I've drawn that big of a map too. But I felt in order to do it justice, it needed to be bigger. So I borrowed one of my husband's giant sketchbooks, and took a couple pages of it, and made the mainland for Cormanthyr, and then there's a small prison island that is sort of like Alcatraz, only much more secure and larger. And so the second page is the island. I don't really remember how I got the idea for Cormanthyr to start with. My ideas usually just kind of come to me. So I don't really know where it came from. But there's magic in Presage. There is magic in Cormanthyr, but it is much more prevalent. Welcome back, sis. So I had to kind of work out how prevalent it was going to be. Some comparisons are, for Presage, magic is innate, which means it is passed down, genetically. So you're basically either born with it or you're not in Presage. There are varying degrees of your magical strength, basically. Whereas in Cormanthyr, almost everyone has some sort of magical ability. Plus I was too lazy to wear shoes, so I ran back because rocks. Yeah, don't hurt yourself on the rocks. I've walked across the rocks barefoot. It's not fun. My parents live out in the middle of nowhere on a gravel road. So, yeah. My teenage years were spent walking on rocks without shoes most of the time. Cormanthyr, it is very rare to have someone born without magic. Whereas for Presage, it's kind of like a 50-50. Flip-flops or bust, right? I wear my flip-flops for as long as I can until it's way too damn cold. My cat is asleep on my bed again. He's totally oblivious this time, though. Yesterday, he was, like, all up in my face. Sleepy kitty. That little ball of orange between my pillows is one of my cats. The other cat is in the other bedroom on that bed. Has Skull mentioned Harambe? Yep. He has. Yeah, we're not even, half an hour into this and he already mentioned Harambe. You guys are good. So Muggles are the minority, and yes, we've checked that box. Yes, Muggles are the minority in Cormanthyr. Whereas Presage, it's pretty much like a 50-50 almost. Um, and Cormanthyr is different also in the fact that it's not just magic like Rose's magic, but also elemental magic. So if you've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra, it's similar to the bending that they do. So that's also part of Cormanthyr. You have the standard magic, and then you have like all of the elemental magics, and kind of their subdivisions. So like Earth is plants. And yes, I've watched both. I love both. I know a lot of people complained about how Legend of Korra wasn't Avatar, but they're two different series within the same world, if you ask me. It wasn't meant to be as kid-friendly, maybe, as Avatar, the original, was. So, yeah. But I liked both, so good. Yeah. There you go. I was about to correct that. I mean, if you've been to Korea and you know it's great, but I personally have not. Camera is like, I seriously need like a not built-in camera. Sometimes it drives me. Autocross towards Kim Jong-un, right? Right? Totally. Oppressed Muggles, kind of. A lot of the laws that are in place are geared towards the magic users because it is so rare to have non-magic users, and that is actually kind of the I don't want to say villain necessarily of Cormanthyr, but there is an organization that is working to try to remove the Emperor and Empress. Because the way that the government works in Cormanthyr is that this is how prevalent magic is. The rulers are chosen by magic. I have notes. Of course, I have notes. Let me pull it up here for you and you guys can see. I have 4 pages of notes on just how the society works and everything. So I talked a little bit about this yesterday. Excuse me. With talking about what inspires my characters. And this right here is what I was talking about with Takahashi. These are the basic laws and their punishments. So stealing is a pretty minor offense. I almost said major, wrong word. Proven abuse of any nature. I know a lot of people think of physical abuse or sexual abuse because those are most prevalent in our world. But in psychology and sociology, you also learn about financial abuse, emotional abuse. There was one other one, and now I can't think of it. I don't remember the other one. But so basically, any kind of abuse, if you've got proof of it, of any kind, it's going to get taken care of, kind of thing. And then murder, of course, is banishment to the prison island. And then any attempt at a coup or murder or attempted murder of the rulers is punishable by death, as is dealing with demons. there is a caste system to Cormanthyr. Obviously, the royals are at the top, and then it's based on your clothing, or I should say, your clothing is based on it. Everyone, all of like the kids, theirs is based on their parents. But once they graduate, they can either, move up in the caste system if they're lower down. It all depends on what they're gonna do for a living, basically, once they graduate. So there's the possibility for children to improve their standing. However, adults who become social outcasts pretty much have no way of making up for that. It's very hard to. Government officials wear shades of blue with gold and silver cuffs, and the shade of blue will denote what level in the government they are. And then, so the emperor and empress are kind of like the interesting part of Cormanthyr for me when I was trying to. Punishment and rulings are absolute, yes. No redemption. Basically, because magic is so prevalent, it makes it very easy, in some cases, to break the law. So the punishments have to be fitting. Did someone say Harambe? Yes, you missed it, Shadow. Skull beat you to it. We weren't even like 10 minutes in. So I'll go over the caste system a little bit better for you, sis. So that you maybe understand the punishment and rulings being absolute kind of thing. Black and gold mean you're from a wealthy family, with both parents being from a higher caste. Silver and white means both parents are working class normal citizens. So they'd be kind of like our blue collar. Silver and black means that one parent is upper and the other is working class. Flawless victory. Epic sex. Take your epic sex. Are you feeling better today, Shadow? Because you kind of seem like you are. And then black, both shirt and pants with silver and gold, denote a social outcast. Maybe IDK. Well, I hope you are. You're spamming chat, so I'm going to assume you are. Oh yeah, your girlfriend's birthday. Happy late birthday to her. I saw the cake. Awesome. So children can become social outcasts pretty much only if their parents break the law. There's not really much that there's not a whole lot that kids can do unless they personally break one of the laws somehow. So Cards Against Humanity. Oh my god, I love that game. I'm probably quite terrible at it, really, but I love playing it. It's hilarious. So that reminds me of what I said in Double Chat. Nothing breaks the ice like... that is so true. Children become social outcasts if their parents commit offenses leading to either their death or exile to Kalasta, adults become social outcasts by being either a repeat abusive offender or other kind of repeat offender. Because clearly they are not learning their lesson, kind of thing, and it's not going to happen. It's not really possible for adults to correct this. Basically, repeated offenses, you're done. You're getting sent to prison for life. For the children, though, it is possible. Once they come into adulthood and decide what their career is, and prove themselves capable through, training and just their abilities, they will receive a new rank, and can move up in those ranks as they become more successful. You can also move down in those ranks, though. So, sounds like Singapore or Germany. School you started 7:30. So for the Emperor and Empress, nobody really knows how the first ones were chosen. But the way the system does work fairly well. They each have their own abilities in addition to whatever abilities they were originally born with. Yeah, Shadow, you were supposed to stream today, right? Or you said you were going to? What time are you streaming? I got a mouse, so 4:30 to 5. Okay, cool. We should probably be done right about then. So I will toss you a host when I'm done. For sure. Because Shadow is awesome. So the magic that is so prevalent in the world is really tied in with everything. The Emperor issues the marriage decrees and approves or denies various requests in regards to those and any others, like businesses and things. If you've watched the somewhat obscure anime 12 Kingdoms, or read the books that it's based on, their procreation isn't the normal way. You can't get pregnant by having sex. You can't have kids by having sex. So in 12 Kingdoms, there's a tree in every village, and a couple who wishes to have a child. Wow, this is not my day. Have a child. Make a ribbon that symbolizes all their wishes and hopes for this child, and they tie it onto a branch on that tree, and they pray every day at that tree to do it. Yeah, I know, sis. Yeah, that was bad. Like I said, this is my first coffee of the day, okay? Give me a break. Not enough caffeine today. Not enough. Woo, no condoms necessary. Yeah, right? That's totally it. But, and then, so in 12 Kingdoms, the gods decide who is fit, basically, and will either grant that wish or never grant it, basically. So it's kind of the same idea in Cormanthyr, where you can't get pregnant unless you're supposed to, basically. Because one of the Empress's jobs, one of her abilities, is that she has visions of potential unions between people. So you've got arranged marriages. However, she doesn't let just anyone get married. These visions come to her, and she has to kind of interpret them. Wait, I missed it. No condoms, Rada? Yeah, no condoms needed in Cormanthyr. Because you can't get pregnant that way. You guys sure make my chat interesting. I love it. um, so the Empress will see these visions of future unions, along with potential offspring from those unions. And sometimes she'll see how these relationships play out, whether they're happy or whether it's going to end badly. No, no pineapple apple button. For God's sake, that song is terrible. No. I'm still going to ban those words in my chat one of these days. um, if she foresees that this union is not going to end well, that something bad is going to happen to either person or children, etc., yes, that stupid thing. That song is terrible. Why do people think it's a good song? I don't get it. I can't even listen to like a minute of it. It's no. Nope. um you would say that, Shadow. You would. So if the Empress does foresee something bad happening, those names are put on this kind of master list that says these people would make a bad union. But well, right, that's totally true. Don't doubt my logic. I'm kidding. I'm not actually gonna ban it, guys. Chill. And so they go on this list that says these two people can't marry each other because it will end badly, kind of thing. And so if these two people were to say, if they were to date and then like decide they want to get married, they approach the emperor and say, you know, we would like to petition for this. He's going to go check that list and say, nope, you're on this list. You two can't get married. This is why, kind of thing. And then there's the reverse of that where two people come and say, hey, we'd like to get married, and they're not on that list, then it's allowed, kind of thing. So they do have the ability to marry outside of these arranged marriages. However, if it is foreseen, I know she is. She loves throwing tables. If it's foreseen that two people are to be married, you have to have a really, really good argument as to why you don't want to be in that arranged marriage. So there is some freedom of choice, but there's also not. It's a little bit of both, little balance. Did you just flip it back up? Nope, the table threw you, huh? Nice, sis. Very nice. So a lot of the magic is designed to protect the people, but to also try to give them. Shadow's flipping two tables at once. Look at him go. But it's also designed to give them some freedom of choice. They aren't as free as you and I are, but at the same time, it tries to protect them. So for the Emperor and Empress, get on my level, sis. Oh, don't challenge her. She will get on your level. But so for magic protects people or only magic? No, it protects all of them. whether they are magic users or not. This magic works for everyone in the kingdom. So the magic itself does not discriminate. This is true. You guys do go toe-to-toe all the time. Remember, Shadow, I can take you. We've had that discussion. Don't forget. I know how to bribe you. But so, you guys are so distracting. Oh my god. That's not fair. Yes, it is. It's totally fair. I'm sure the others know how to distract you if they think about it. I mean, or how to distract you. How to defeat you, I should say. I could take Shadow, right? Right? I mean, it only takes 2 things, so, you know. They have a Save the Unicorn shirt on Amazon. Oh, that's nice. The Empress is not fail-proof. Dearie, thank you for the host. Her visions do fail. You're close, sis. You're half right. I won't tell you which half, though. She does get it wrong. Sometimes her visions don't always show her everything. So she will miss the part of the relationship where it fails. I have a different name in here. I haven't updated this since I changed the name, but Azella's mother and father are an example of this. Nope. You're still wrong, sis. Keep trying. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'll be nice and not tell you. Be nice to Shadow and not tell you. Hi, Nissan! Okay, Shadow, we'll see you later. Don't die. You're not gonna die. You're so overdramatic. And no, it's not beer and cheese curls either. They're close. That's closer than your other guesses. But so, Azella's parents are an example of the Empress missing those crucial visions that would tell her, Skull, be nice. That's not nice. She didn't get those visions of Azella's parents that would have shown her that the union would have ended badly. And they were not an arranged one, like any of the others. Theirs was one that they fell in love, and they petitioned, and since they weren't on that master list, they were allowed to. And Reaper. Nice. Too bad that doesn't work in my chat. But anyone that's been in Skull's chat knows what comes. And so she's not perfect. Neither of them are. And for the Emperor, because he has fewer responsibilities, they're not as critical as the Empress. Every once in a while he gets bored and allows somebody to get pregnant that wasn't maybe supposed to get pregnant, and it just, spices up life for him. He can be a bit of a dick like that sometimes. But, when you live for a couple 100 years at a time, you gotta do something to amuse yourselves, right? Azella is an example of this. She does not have a normal appearance. And so her physical appearance is where the Emperor had his fun. she has kind of this greenish gold skin. So he's a prankster. Yes. Yes. Or if you watch Supernatural, he's kind of like the trickster. Kind of the same thing. Um, so she has this kind of greenish gold tinge to her skin, um, which I have a colored pencil that looks like that. It's one of my favorite colored pencils. I try not to use it too much because it's such a great colored pencil and I don't want to lose it, use it all up. But that's where I got her skin color from. And then her hair is naturally this kind of dark purple color. And her eyes are cat eyes, but they're bright blue. Like here. Um, oops. No, shit. My hotkey didn't work there for a second. Like this blue. They're that shade of blue. Um, so her appearance is just very, even though it's natural, it's very different. And it's that appearance that further fueled her father's issues, and led eventually to her mother's death and his arrest, because he figured that because Azella looked so different, there was no way she was his child, and repeatedly accused her mother of cheating on him and all of this, despite the fact that that's not how things work in Cormanthyr. Logic doesn't work for him. So while the Emperor does have his fun, sometimes it leads to bad things, which he does feel bad about then. But most of the time, it's harmless things. So the Emperor has his fun. The Empress lets him. But because of all these responsibilities, the Emperor and Empress have to be able to trust each other completely and communicate with each other without fear of angering each other or causing problems between the two of them. So it's really important that they get along, and the magic ensures that the two people chosen will be a good fit. Nobody really knows what makes the magic choose what it chooses, or who it chooses, I should say. But it works. There's very rarely a ruler that gets it wrong, basically, that does wrong for the people. And when that does happen, the magic does step in and ends it, to protect the people. So there are fail-safes in place. They are somewhat immortal, so they don't become immortal until they actually take the throne in a ceremony. So they do age before that. So they're not always going to be like really young or anything physically. Some of the oldest rulers have lived to be around 400 years old. The current ones are like 150 or thereabouts, which is usually about how old they live to be before the next ones are chosen and sworn in, basically. The heirs are chosen by visions given to the current empress. She will see them. Sometimes it's not always clear to her that they are going to be the heir when she first sees them, but as she gets more and more visions of them, it becomes more and more obvious. Um, some of the rulers have tried to hold on to power for longer than they're supposed to, but it doesn't matter. Like they can die and without naming the heir, but it just all that does is trigger this special task force that their sole purpose is to find the next heir. However, most of the time, the empresses, this doesn't happen. They willingly say who the heir is. Most of the time, the next heir is already born and is either a child or in their teenage years when these visions happen. So it's not hard to find them. However, there have been cases where the heirs were not conceived yet. And in that case, usually only the empress has died, and so the emperor is still alive. And when that happens, or vice versa, the surviving ruler inherits the deceased one's power temporarily. So there are a lot of fail-safes in place that prevent the country from being left without a ruler. In the event that both rulers die at the same time and the heirs are not yet conceived, the powers will transfer to two adults who are unmarried at the time. And if they're not in the same place at that time, they will each receive visions of each other, and they have to go to the capital and find each other. The visions will give each of them a unique way to prove that they are indeed the heirs. So, like I said, there's a lot of ways that keep an emperor and empress in their place, that keep the rulers there, so the country is not without rulers for very long, if at all. They are not able to have children of their own once they take the throne. So, there's no inheriting the throne through the bloodline. However, if a couple was married and conceived any children before being chosen as the heirs, those children will be somewhat affected by this and will age slightly slower than normal because their parents have become immortal. So some children of the rulers have been known to live well over 100 years. It's rare for it to be a married couple, but it's not unheard of. It is also possible, and also rare, for a child of the heirs to be, or a child of the rulers to become heir. So there's a lot of interesting things that can happen. Yeah, it's interesting. I like where I went with this. Yeah, the kids getting to live forever was something interesting, but I didn't want it to be fairly common, because usually it's going to be an unmarried couple that won't have kids. So I already talked about marriages, that the Empress foresees them, but you can also petition to be married, and in order to get out of the arranged marriage, you have to prove that there is some compelling reason as to why the two of you should not marry. You keep saying forever, but it seems to be 100 or 400 years. Did I say forever? I don't think I said forever. They do die eventually. I don't think I've said forever. I said immortal, somewhat immortal. Somewhat immortal does not imply indefinitely. There are ways to be killed and to die. They can still get sick, but they do live longer. Just yes, they do die. They just age much slower, so they do still age and can die of old age. But good catch. If a arranged marriage is also foreseen to have children, but the pair does not want to have children, they also need to have a very compelling reason as to why they should not be parents. The only exception to this is if the Empress sees that the child or children in question will be vital to the kingdom in some way. And in that case, if it is imperative that that child be born, there is no getting around it. Sometimes the Emperor or Empress does encounter difficult visions or other difficult situations such as decisions on petitions or new laws that may need to be written in, things like that. It will trigger visions of past emperors and empresses that may be able to give advice. So kind of like the Avatar state where where they can communicate with previous lives to get advice, but they also turn to each other more often. I heard immortal. I did not hear the somewhat. It sounded like they couldn't die, and magic decided when they would die. Otherwise, they couldn't. No, it's totally fine. That was a good catch-up for you guys. I did say somewhat, because to me, the same person shouldn't be ruling indefinitely. That kind of goes back to 12 Kingdoms as well. Their rulers are chosen by divine intervention, for lack of a better word. Not visions quite like Cormanthyr, but there is magic, or for lack of a better term, that helps the king's advisor to know who should be the next ruler. And those rulers are immortal until they decide either to step down or they stray from what is it called? Heaven's path, or the mandate of heaven, and then their advisor gets sick, and if that advisor dies, so does the ruler. So 12 Kingdoms is also a very interesting societal system. And that's where I drew a lot of my inspiration for it. So longevity versus mortality. Yeah. They will age, just very, very slowly. Think of them kind of like elves, where elves aren't necessarily immortal, but they live for a long, long time. Magical intervention. Yeah, kind of like that. So, getting back to the heirs, and how the Emperor and Empress deal with things. There are rare instances, usually of older heirs, receiving visions prior to being crowned or even before being aware that they are the chosen heirs. Generally, that person will travel to the capital on their own to seek an audience with the rulers to find out why. But that's not always the case, because it's not widely known how the Empress knows what she knows. So the Empress isn't always aware of it either when somebody starts getting these visions. But when she is, and several months pass and this person doesn't show up to find out what's going on with them, she will send out that task force to find the individual or individuals, because it's imperative that they be trained in how to interpret those visions, and learn how to manage their responsibilities, basically. As for technology and societal norms and currency type things, that was a little more difficult for me to decide, because a lot of... One second, I need to yell at my children. I'll be right back, guys. Sorry, guys. My kids are downstairs, and if I can hear them up here, that means they're being too loud, and they didn't listen when I yelled the first time. So, yeah. I got up and went to yell at them. Is it possible for someone intended to rule not to want to? Yes, I would say yes. That hasn't happened, as far as backstory goes, but I would say yes, that is a possibility. Funny story time. Me and my girlfriend were at the Big E, which is like a giant state fair. Some guy is talking very loudly and very animatedly at his girlfriend and another dude. I'm the only one watching them. 5 minutes later, dude takes off his shirt and the two start fighting, and I go, shirt's off, it's real now. And our present company and everyone around us notices them. And then I narrate the fight for like 30 people. That is awesome, Skull. I love that story. So in terms of technology and societal norms and currency, it was a little trickier, because here you have all of this magic prevalent. The magic really rules the entire thing. So if you say X, it's really true. Right? It's so true. I usually mute myself when they come in because they're usually asking the same thing for the 50 millionth time during the day. You know. But yeah, I love my kids, I swear, I do. There are days. There are so days that they test me. But so like this again goes back to Legend of Korra. Go get some food, sis. I was lazy today. I've only eaten lunch. I didn't eat breakfast because I was being a lazy bum this morning. And then it was like 10:30 and I'm like, I have to stream in 2.5 hours. I should really eat something. Hungry Noises failed attempt to cast sandwich magic, right? Just Accio some food. So again, this is where kind of the inspiration from Legend of Korra comes in. There is like electricity and magic me some food to Callie. I would if I could, hon. Oh, I would. I definitely would. And school bring the tequila, right? IQ tequila. um, so there is electricity, there's electric cars, there aren't any planes, because you do have like the airbender type. So those people usually work in the air transportation. And then, but you do have like regular wooden boats and stuff. Well, school, you're pretty funny, so it's pretty easy. And I laugh a lot. I'm easy to make laugh. Too bad you can't hear us. He can hear me laugh. That counts. Seriously, as much as I type LOL in chat, I really do laugh that much in real life. And you guys are probably noticing that on my streams too. Funny, like, he's not funny looking. Come on. Savage, man. Hey, no, Skull. I am not easy. Nub fingers. I'm only easy for sis. um. So it's there is some technology, but it's not super necessary because so many people have magic. Right. Sis knows. There may be a few other people, but oh, I'm just playing with you guys. Orphanages are less common in rural areas, as it's more common in rural areas for neighbors or family friends to take in orphan children, whereas in larger cities, the orphanages are going to be more common. There are also a lot of foster families throughout. I make people's pants disappear sometimes. This is true. So you can burn them. Right, Skull? Sis has an aversion to pants. The various magical races do mix quite often, which can lead to a lot of interesting hybrid abilities. The kingdom is divided into 4 parts, one for each of the elemental magics. You're not confined to your specific kingdom, your specific elements section of the kingdom. Words are hard. So there is a lot of the population that has mixed abilities. Most often you'll see the more dominant magic be the one that manifests. Forage for food and grab a beer. Go for it. Drink one for me. I think I've only got 1 ale left. I think I have a bottle of wine too that I've never opened because I don't have a corkscrew thing. And I'm not a big wine drinker either. Usually the dominant magic is the one that man will manifest. Manifest. Oh my god. Words are hard today. I blame it on 2 streams in a row. But sometimes, if both parents have strong abilities, the child will have both. Hi, Pine Lord. Welcome to the stream. Beer is good for what ails you. Nice. Yeah, mouth nubs, right? That's so corny. I love it, right? I grew up with corny jokes. My dad is like the master at one-line jokes and wordplay and stuff, so I love that. That's a good one. Very good. So like I said, there's a lot of interesting hybrid abilities. There is a single currency for the kingdom, but generally in the more rural areas, money is going to be scarce. So you're going to have more of a barter system in the more rural areas, which, I mean, it works for both. Pine Lord, your filthy punster self is very welcome here. Yes! Skull is very right. We love puns. Puns are the best. Especially groan-worthy puns. Demons are not commonly seen, but they are highly feared, which is why dealings with them have such a severe punishment like they do. In the fire area of the kingdom, there is a massive volcano that erupts every 50 to 100 years, and the fire users channel that lava away from the rest of the kingdom and out to sea, basically, to keep it from destroying not only their part of the kingdom, but pretty much the entire kingdom. It is like Mount Doom. Yes, it is very similar to Mount Doom, I would say. Yes, I wasn't thinking of Mount Doom when I created it, but yes, Mount Doom. Some of the stronger users of the other elements will also travel there to help. Like the Earthbenders will help move Earth out of the way to channel things. Oh my god, so they could just not do their job and everyone does. Right? Exactly. That is literally what would happen. It would destroy at least half the kingdom. And then like the air and water benders will help keep the water clean. And then the air elementals will help keep the ash out of the air so everyone can still breathe, kind of thing. So really it's all of them working together, but yeah, the fire and earth elementals really have the biggest one, the biggest responsibility there. Even though there are arranged marriages, people do still date / court each other, however you want to put it. Because, like I said, there is the free-willed choice of petitioning to marry somebody of your choice rather than marrying by arrangement. My main characters are thrown into an arranged marriage. But the interesting part is that, well, I must have typed this really fast because there are a lot of words that don't have spaces between them. Or that aren't even remotely spelled correctly. The main characters meet each other by chance, basically. They, Azella's already been going to that school for a couple of years. It's their senior year, so it's their final year in the school. Thank God, because I hate writing school stories. But it is Takahashi's first year there. And so they meet on the first day of school. They're both social outcasts because of what their parents have done. Nobody really wants to talk to them or get to know them. They don't really have any friends except for each other. And so it's a little bit cliche. Why do you hate writing school stories? Because it's hard to write within the confines of a school, like a school day kind of thing. And then you get the whole, like, angsty teen cliche stuff going on, and, like, you fall into those traps of the stereotypical, and I really try to avoid stereotypes in my writing. You weren't here yesterday when I was talking about A Tattooed Heart, the Tumblr-inspired one. One of my characters is essentially a femme fatale, but I'm not going to make her the stereotypical one. She's not going to be absolutely gorgeous and alluring and all of that. She's going to be a normal person. I don't like stereotypes. I try to break those as much as I can. Because those are seen way too much in a lot of writing. And I like my characters to be more unique than that. I don't want to follow what everyone else has done a million times. So I really try to avoid cliches and overdone things as much as I can. So that's why I try not to write high school story lines. And I mean, really, the first few chapters are kind of a short bit of their senior year. So cliches are pretty hard to avoid with young characters too. Yeah. I'm trying to avoid it. I think I've done pretty well anyway. But I know there's still going to be some cliches. By the same token, not everyone is unique, so you need that contrast with the rest of the world. Yes. A couple of the other like supporting characters that are around my main characters in school are very much the cliche, typical high school students kind of thing. So yeah, I do have plenty of normal, everyday, cliche characters because they are necessary. I do agree. I mean, Azella and Takahashi's relationship is kind of one of those, I wouldn't say cliche, but maybe not unheard of relationships where two people meet, become friends, and slowly kind of realize they're falling for each other kind of thing. So, so there is that. There is that kind of cliche, stereotypical thing, whatever you want to call it. They don't really realize that they've kind of fallen for each other until this moment happens. I don't know if I want to tell you guys because at some point I do want to do like I'm doing with Presage and read Cormanthyr to you guys. It's nowhere near complete though, so I don't want to give too much away in case I revise it or something. But there is a moment where they realize that they care for each other as more than friends. And it's like a pretty big moment for the two of them to realize this. Whereas like pretty much everyone around them has already realized it kind of thing. So there is that. I hit a button on my phone that I wasn't trying to hit, and now I have to fix things so I can see the chat. Because my phone is dumb. That is totally it, sis. The get a room. The people like, you know, oh my god. Okay, so I had that happen to me in high school at one point. I will be honest. There was a guy that I was totally like, we're just friends. Oh, I'm so sorry, Skull. You guys have almost the same color chat name. I'm sorry. Skull. I totally deserve being ridiculed for that one. I'm so sorry. I feel like an idiot now. Skull, you were right. The get a room relationship. I had a friend like that in high school that it's one of those moments where like you don't realize that there's something more between the two of you until somebody literally goes, "Would you two get a room?" And we're both just like, "What? What? No, we're just friends." Like, no, kind of thing. But then it like makes you wonder kind of thing, like, is there something more? And that we're just not seeing it, but everyone else is. It's kind of like that song, Something to Talk About, by Bonnie Wright. That's literally like the entire song is like, well, if they think it's there, well, let's give them something to talk about. Let's do it, kind of thing. So it's kind of similar to that. But yeah, that's totally the relationship is the get a room relationship. um, Back to this. Let's see. There was something else I was going to cover. I'm looking at my notes. So since nearly everyone has these abilities, there's really not a problem for sending children to be trained in other nations, basically, because there are times where even if both parents are of the same element, you do have that small chance that a child is born with a different one, just through recessive genes, usually. Yeah, sis, I accidentally called him you. Because you guys have almost the same color in chat, and I just kind of glanced at my phone. So, like, I thought that was you and not him. Yeah. My bad. You guys do, like, nearly think the same most of the time, so can you blame me for thinking that it was something sis said? You know I love you more, sis. School could never take your place. She knows. Right? But so if a child is born with a different element than its parents, there are foster homes in other nations that will take in that child to train them properly. And there are also orphanages, or more like boarding schools in that case. Skull's my brain twin. Yes, Skull is Sis's brain twin. If a child presents with abilities of more than one element, there is a special school in the capital for that. Generally, these children will be placed with the task force that polices the prison island. Better version of the and that same task force is also the one that searches for the new emperor and empress in the event of the current one's deaths. So it's not impossible for them to have the more than one ability. And it does play a good part in the society. They're kind of important. Sometimes the elemental ability is strong enough that it has a physical manifestation that affects a person's appearance. That can range from anything like a slight difference in skin, hair, or eye color, all the way to kind of a birthmark or a scar of some kind that is in the shape of the ability. And generally, the more prevalent in size or visible location that mark is, the more powerful the user. So, Takahashi and Azella both have physical manifestations of their ability, but their ability isn't awakened yet, I guess you could say. They don't know that they have this ability yet. So they aren't really sure what their birthmarks are. but they do both have similar birthmarks. So that's everything that went into making Cormanthyr, basically. You guys have any questions on that? So I think that's everything that was in my notes too, my original notes. Because I usually just write all of these and then type it up. Yeah. How does the world building affect the story? Well, for Cormanthyr, I only had like one chapter written for it. And do you ever find yourself boxed in by the world you've built? I have sometimes, because with Cormanthyr especially, when I originally wrote it, I only had the one chapter written. It was very basic. When I went to actually start working on it, the majority of that chapter got scrapped. I kept a few things here and there, but for the most part, a lot of it got scrapped. And then I kind of had to go, okay, these are the basics of what I know of this world. What else goes into this world? Limited by a literary theme. Yeah, it happens. Because with Cormanthyr, I started writing, and then I realized I don't have a single antagonist. I don't write much. Seems like it would be frustrating. Yeah. I realized I didn't have an antagonist. I had protagonists, but I didn't have anything to counter them. I didn't have any kind of conflict for them to do. I knew that that at least one of my main characters was going to be the heir, but then as the two characters evolved and became, it seemed like the natural progression of the characters to make them be a pair, be partnered together. So that meant that they would both be heirs. Then I had to figure out, okay, how does that happen? Like, are they going to know that they are? Or are they just going to kind of live their daily lives until the task force comes to find them, kind of thing? But even all of that didn't really read as an interesting story. So I had to go, okay, well, it says that, in this world I've created, it says that if the rulers both die at the same time, it goes to two random people, and there's not a lot of non-magic users. Well, if I was a non-magic user in this world, I think I'd be pretty frustrated with the lack of rights or laws that actually affect me, kind of thing. And maybe there'd be others that think like that. And so all of these what ifs kind of snowballed into the antagonist, or more so an organization of antagonists, that actually kind of, their goal is to find a way to completely remove the Emperor and Empress from existence. And their theory, and they realize they will be put to death if they are caught or unsuccessful. Their theory is that if they can find the current ones and the heirs and kill all four of them at the same time, basically, then there's no one left to inherit. And maybe, just maybe, the magic won't trigger, and you're successful. Then you won't have the rulers anymore. That's their thinking anyway. So that kind of became the antagonist. And that's kind of something that I had to work within the limitations of the world I built for Cormanthyr. And I really don't know what else I could have done to make an antagonist. Chicken and egg question. Where'd the magic come from originally? No one knows. That's kind of the same thing that I talked about with A Tattooed Heart, is that all of that came about because someone made a wish. And nobody knows who made that wish. Nobody knows her identity. All they know is that it was a woman. Death is a heavy price to pay for theory. That's the whole thing, though, is you're trying to kill a ruler. You are trying to stage a coup. What other punishment would you have? And someone had to find out all that flora was poisonous in the past in real human history, right? I am one for details, but I haven't really gone that far with Cormanthyr. A Tattooed Heart, I went further with the backstory than I did. So maybe when I get back into Cormanthyr a bit, that's probably something I will address at some point, but right now it's not. Let's see, what else did you guys ask? Find Buxton by the world you've built, limited by theory. How do you deal with the fear of coming across as overly cliche in your writings? I've heard it's common thought among writers. And how do I avoid that? Sis, while you were getting food, we were actually talking about that. That's what brought up Skull's whole the get a room relationship. I try my hardest to avoid cliches and stereotypes, but at the same time, as Skull pointed out, which I agreed with, you need those sometimes to make sure that your unique characters stand out among all of these cliche normal people. So while Azella and Takahashi are very unique, the students around them are not. And I think you need that contrast at times. But you also want to try not to make every single character some sort of cliche. That would probably be a terrible but intriguing book, is literally every character is a cliche, right? As a writer, I personally, like I said, I just try not to. But if it happens and it works in the story, I leave it alone. Because there are times that you need it. But otherwise, you just do your best, really. I don't really know what else to say on that. Cliches are hard. Let's see. I think that was everything I had for my chat is not scrolling. I was confused for a minute because I was like, I thought my chat was at the end and like it wasn't scrolling. So yeah, that's kind of how I deal with that. Any other questions? I love answering questions. Some of my friends will tell you I ask way too many questions myself. But to me, that's a sign of a good writer, honestly. My cat is sleeping. Still. He moved at some point, though. He's not, like, it's not where he was. Now he's facing us. Boxers or briefs? Briefs, I guess. I've never worn boxers. Awkward question. Any opinions on developing the antagonist more, like an evil skull? That's actually kind of ties into a tattooed heart, because part of it will be from the Black Widow's point of view, the person who is going to be, you guys switched to the same color. You guys really are brain twins. I'm just... That is way funnier than it should be. Oh my god. I kind of like the idea of working from the quote-unquote villain's point of view. I just did to fuck with him, guys. Because sometimes I think that antagonists have the more interesting story sometimes. You'll see in Presage, there's a couple of chapters, or at least one right now, chapters from one of my antagonists' point of view. I'm pretty now. You are pretty, Skull. Look at your pretty pink. And so I really think that working from the antagonist's point of view gives a different perspective and really kind of gives you a different kind of psychology to delve into as to why they're doing what they're doing. And I think they get not enough attention, not as much as the protagonist would. Though if you develop an antagonist more, do they not become the protagonist of the story? Kind of the interesting thought. Kind of a little paradox there of if your main character is the evil one, are they the protagonist or are they the antagonist? Because generally your main character is your protagonist. So that's another little thing. But I would someday like to write a story from the antagonist's point of view. I think that would be cool. It depends on whether you think of true. I liked the topic of whether or not to let the soulmate know he is being protected because his mate wants to kill him. Right? And, like, that's a decision I need to make. Because it does give a couple of different storylines. You can take it either way kind of thing. Because if he doesn't know why he's in protective custody, he's gonna be curious. He's going to want to know why. Is he going to constantly ask his protectors why he's in protection, or is he just going to resign himself to that fate? And then on the flip side, if he does know, you have, okay, is he going to play it safe and live out his life away, being in there? Being in protective custody and just live out his life boringly, trying to avoid this unknown woman? Or is he going to ask what she looks like, what she's like, how the others died, kind of thing? And is he going to go seek her out to try to understand her? So there's a lot of possibilities with that relationship. And I think that's going to be the main focus of the story, is that set of relationship. And while at the same time you'll have a couple of other possibilities going on, like, would I really want to know that my soulmate wanted me dead? Right? And it's not that she doesn't want to be in love or anything. She just wants to be forever young. It's not necessarily a personal thing. But then my husband brought up a similar point of, okay, so she kills her mate to keep herself immortal. Does she kill anyone else in the process, either intentionally or unintentionally? Because she would know that she is by their she would know that by doing so she is taking away someone else's soulmate and effectively making them immortal until their soulmate reincarnates, kind of thing. So there's a lot of things. I feel like the aspect of that knowledge gives more to work with as far as character development. Yes, I'm kind of leaning towards that of putting him in protective custody and him knowing why. Because then that gives me the two choices of, does he resign himself to that fate, or does he want to know why she's doing it and maybe try to reason with her or something, kind of thing. Daredevil on Netflix does an awesome job of developing Wilson Fisk, for instance. There's no question of whether he's the bad guy. I've not watched Daredevil yet. I'm meaning to, but I've heard a lot of good things about it, and that doesn't surprise me. It seems like a pretty good series. Just from having watched Stranger Things, I think Netflix has done really well with their original series type shows. So I'm looking forward to watching Daredevil at some point. I definitely think that there's something to be said for the ambiguous villain as much as there is for the obvious villain. Or maybe even him finding out that information unintentionally commutes. Right? I think that's kind of a good aspect too. This is kind of like they try to keep it from him, but he figures it out anyway. I always love seeing those kinds of things where they're told that they don't need to know something and they find out anyway. Welcome back, Shadow. And then like that internal struggle of don't tell Shadow to shut up. Depends on how critical his soulmate is to his life. Is there a higher calling than that? Right? Because it's kind of one of those, does he resign himself or does he, what does he do about it? That internal struggle once he finds out why he's in protective custody and what he decides to do about it is going to be the really interesting one to explore. There will be other relationships scattered throughout the story of people that are searching for theirs, and then an older couple who found theirs and how they've grown over their old age together, and things like that. So there's a lot of other relationships that I'll explore in the story, but I really think that the Black Widow and her soulmate are going to be the main focus, because theirs is just much more intriguing to explore. So that's that. That's that thought. Reading through chat here, making sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I'm hoping I will love Daredevil. Like I said, I've thought it looks pretty good. So maybe that'll be the next thing we binge watch. Since we finished Stranger Things, we haven't really decided the next thing. My husband's not as into Supernatural as I am. He kind of watched it for the first time with me last night, and I'm on like season 5, I think. And he got a good laugh at some of the things, but yeah, he's definitely not as into it as I am. So yeah. Any other questions? Supernatural is a pretty big undertaking. Yeah, they just added season 11 to Netflix. So I swear by the time I finish season 11, season 12 is gonna be out there. You guys, that's cracked me up. You guys have any other questions? And you guys can always like whisper me or DM me on Twitter if you think of questions after the stream, and I'll take care of them on the next stream. Oh, because I like questions. I was trying to look at my board and see if there's anything else I could cover. I don't think there is. I think all of that's just stuff. Shadow, get out of your corner! He calls me out all the time. It's nice to give it back, right? Shadow, we want you out of your corner, please. No being in the corner. Is it possible to do character profiles and introduce them to the stream? Complete with sexy pose. Skull told me I couldn't come out of his closet. Skull, let him out of your closet. That's not nice. Besides, Shadow's not fabulous enough to be in the closet. I should not read chat while drinking. I about spit my coffee out. Alright, let's just all have a party in Skull's closet. Is it possible to do character profiles and introduce them to the stream? You mean like create one on stream? Or how are you thinking that would work? I'm intrigued by this idea. I want to hide in Skull's closet too. Can I at least get Vienna sausages? Yes, we will feed you sausages and beer. I would say we could party in my closet, but my closet is tiny. We need like a giant walk-in closet. Let me find an example, okay? I will wait. I suppose I can be nice. Beer, sausage, and no pants. Oh my! I don't know about the no pants. Nobody wants to see my chubby legs. Trust me. That sounds like a kinky time. Right, Shadow? That sounds like a very kinky time. I'm not sure I'm okay with this. I don't know. Skull's closet is the place to be these days, right? Right? It's totally. While we wait for Skull to find an example of these things. And then, if you guys are out of questions at that point, we will start the read-through. It's only 2 chapters, because these 2 chapters are actually kind of long. I try to keep my my Google Slides presentations to about 30 or so slides. Skull's plan backfired, right? Right? He thought it was going to be a punishment, but we're going to have a party. Or at least he wants us to live there. Right? He totally wants us to live in his closet. We'll be the ghosts in his closet. As long as he feeds us. Mike is... Okay. I feel like we would be happy there, right? We would totally be happy there. Come on, we get to listen to his dulcet tones all the time. His voice, he could put us to sleep all the time. It's part of my organ harvesting business plan. Oh, you don't want my organs, trust me. Skull, where are these examples? If I become a ghost, I'd be such a troll. You're already a troll. Of course you would be as a ghost. Hey, demon! Vaginal transplant. Oh my god. The demon's probably wondering what he walked into now. How's it going? I don't have Facebook up, so I don't know if you even messaged the group or not. Linkage. What is this link? Whose lore is it? Oh, it's Ari's. That timing though, right? Scroll to the bottom of the page. Stop it. My computer's like jumping all over the place. Scroll. Stop letting. Just scroll. I just ate dinner. It's 3:30. What do you mean you just ate dinner? Like I'm starting up a human centipede. Ew! No human centipede. That's nasty. What'd you have for dinner? I might be able to put something like that together. That's possible. Oh, right. It's Canadian Thanksgiving. I forgot. I knew this. God damn. I have 3 people I know in Canada. 4 people. 5 people. 5. Maybe 6. I have a lot of people I know in Canada. I should have remembered this. I've been to Canada on their Thanksgiving. I know this. That's right. I already deal with all you guys' shit anyway. I'd be in it. This is a good point, Shadow. You got us there. But yeah, school. I suppose I could try to put something together like that. I don't know that it would work for Presage. It would take a lot more work to do it for Presage, but I might be able to. Yeah, that's interesting. I will think of that about that. No, Shadow is not emo. Shadow is awesome. But okay. I suggest it because when people come in mid-story, they might not have a good feel for the characters yet, so if that's something useful, you can write them one time and then reuse them later. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And that's another reason for doing the recordings without the chat part, is so that people can get caught up and watch the other parts of the read through without all the distractions of chat and everything. So yeah. I've never cracked open a pistachio. I'm not a huge pistachio fan. They're alright, but like they're not my favorite. But yeah, that's a good suggestion. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down. Don't knock over my phone. Now my whole table's gonna shake while I write because my table is like flimsy. Character. I've read a lot of those bios as I used to play League. So, yeah, that's interesting. I've had that happen before, sis, yes. So I imagine that would be similar to the whole pistachio thing. So if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a quick break. Because like I said, the next read through, even though it's only 2 chapters, it is kind of long. So I'm going to say like a 5-minute break. Maybe 3. Maximum 5-minute break. Just to get up and stretch real quick. And get more to drink. And then we'll start the read through. So yeah, if you guys don't have any more questions, we're gonna go to break. I'll give you like a minute to decide if you have more questions. Do what I want. Shadow in his I do what I want. 1, 2, 3, break. Break time? Okay. Alright, so like I said, like max 5 minutes, probably only gonna be like 2 or 3. I'm just gonna run out to the kitchen and get something to drink and check on the kids. They're pretty self-sufficient. I